Welcome back, everyone. Well, as you know, Saratoga, of course, is known for horse racing, culture, Skidmore College, great historical downtown and whatever. If you live here, you also know we also have one other gem right outside of the city limits called Saratoga Lake. And outside of the fact that it also has an amazing history, turn of the century as a place for the rich and famous, and over the years has seen all kinds of changes, but especially in the last decade, has seen a real rebound. And part of that is due to the work of the Lake Saratoga, or Saratoga Lake Association. And joining me today is the president of the board, Alan Richer. So welcome, Al.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here today.
Very nice to have you here. People who live here know about the lake, and people coming into the area are usually surprised to find out that we've got this beautiful little gem sitting right outside the city limits. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I always think of it as the other facet that makes Saratoga a diamond.
Yes, absolutely right. I've got a lot of personal history with the lake. When I first moved here in the 70s, having grown up on the eastern end of Long Island, I was used to being near the water and immediately put a boat on the lake and discovered, all of the beautiful little places you could go up Fish Creek and, explore around there. And the more you find out about the history of the lake, the more you realize, again, that it was very popular, especially in the Victorian era at the turn of the century. Now, it saw a big downturn, as a lot of lakes did with invasive species and things. And in the 80s, there was a big turnaround, right, Al?
Well, I think the biggest problem was that the municipalities, and there's 4 municipalities on the lake, were allowing raw sewage to be dumped into the Cateros Creek.
Yeah.
And the creek feeds the lake, and therefore the lake itself was getting very polluted, and people didn't want to go there and swim in any of that. And so what happened is the predecessor organization, the Saratoga Lake Property Owners, successfully sued the 4 municipalities. And then what happened is that the state government created a sister organization to us, which is actually a taxing authority, the Saratoga Lake Protection and Improvement District, and they became responsible. And the biggest thing that happened was they created a sewer system around the lake, and that really abated a lot of the pollution.
Boy, you're not kidding. I mean, just think about that. 4 municipalities were dumping into Cateros Park. You wonder when you look back at history, you think to yourself, how'd they get away with that? Well, apparently the organization was successful, as Alan stated, in getting a sewer system put in. I remember when they put that system in. And then the other thing, of course, is those big harvesting machines for the invasive species. They've been at work out there for decades, right?
You're right. There's 2 or 3 of them. And again, that's really part of the Saratoga Lake Improvement and Protection District. Basically, each of the 4 municipalities has a commissioner, and then there's a commissioner at large, which is currently Dave Wallingford. So they operate those things, and they also get involved in any type of chemical treatment or other types of treatments to deal with invasive species, which are becoming more and more prevalent and more challenging.
Not only the Saratoga Lake, Al, but Lake George has a big program in place for invasive species also, and they really proliferate. I mean, and I notice on the southern end of the lake when you drive around, I like to drive around that lake road a lot, and it used to be you would see all of that on the shoreline. And over the years, little by little, those harvesters have gone in and really ripped out a lot of that invasive species and contributed to the cleansing of that lake.
Right. It used to be like there were so many weeds, it was hard to even, get your boat out of the dock.
That's right. Now, lake level is always another issue. This particular lake is fed by Cateros, correct?
Right, but then it's fed by the Cateros Creek, but then it goes out over the Fish Creek, and it goes over 2 dams. One of them is a hydroelectric dam, which is owned by an Italian company called NL. And so traditionally, the problem was that they needed water to operate their hydro dam, and then during the recreational season, people also wanted to be able to use their boats, so they wanted the water to be a little bit higher, and you had to be careful because if you didn't balance it correctly, you could have a lot of flooding, which was prevalent. So a lot of things have happened since I've been president. This is ending my 3rd year, but essentially working with SLIPID as well as the dam operator and having better communications, we're doing a lot better now. One of the other things which is a big feature is you can go onto our website, which is saratogalake.org, and there's a lake level indicator that you could watch. And you can see at any particular time what the lake level is.
Now, lakes are formed in a number of different ways. this particular lake, which is, I think, 6 miles by 2 miles.
That's right, about 4,500 acres.
And surprisingly enough, Alan was telling me that at one point off Snake Hill, right, it's the depth, they've been known to go 90 to 100 feet deep, depending on the level of the lake.
Well, usually, like the deepest part of the lake is right there. It's 90 feet. But when we had a couple of those tropical storms a couple of years ago, it actually got as high as 110 to 115 feet, so almost 15 feet. And what had happened, you know, basically when you had, like where I live, picnic tables ended up floating into the water, and
I saw that.
all kinds of debris,
right.
so you didn't know what you were going to hit when you were out in the boat.
Yeah, especially on the southern end, that was have to be flooded even more down at that end.
Right, and also the eastern end floods a lot.
Yeah, got you. Now, I asked Alan what the mission is, and he kind of circled on 5 things: the health, the safety, sanitation, environmental issues, and of course recreational. The mayor here in Saratoga was a big proponent of the waterfront park.
Right,
and that's opened.
Right, that opened last year.
That's
they
right.
had the dedication, and we were there, and you know, we help try to promote events. One of the things that we're working on right now is a fishing clinic to teach youngsters how to fish, and that's one of the locations we're looking at having it.
You know, Saratoga Lake does have a reputation for having some great fish. Bass, walleye, pike are the ones that come to mind, and it. You know, I just love the whole idea of what you're accomplishing there. You know, you want to engage the community, have them enjoy the lake. You know, whether it's fishing or whether it's boating, you know, whatever it is, to be swimming, to be able to enjoy it, right?
Right, and I think for a while there wasn't really any public access if you didn't live on the lake.
That's right.
But with the opening of both the waterfront park in the city, as well as Browns Beach and Stillwater, which allows public swimming, there's a lot more people who can take advantage and utilize the lake. So we're hoping now that people have the opportunity, they'll avail themselves to this and again, see what kind of a gem it really is.
And there's something that we can all do to help. You can become a member of the association. It costs like $20. Now, if you live on the lake, that's a no-brainer. If you use the lake, that's a no-brainer. But how about just the occasional user, right? Anyone can be a member. It's part of our town. It's part of our city, right?
Right, that's right. And you get a lot of programs for it. So we do different programs. This coming end of the month, we have our annual breakfast. As part of that, one of our board members, Dr. Joe Schwartz, who's a dermatologist, is going to be doing a free sun cancer screening. And we're also looking to have the Alvin Hart rescue boat come. And then we're doing Paddle Fest, which Mountain Man Outdoor Sports is doing at the Fish Creek Marina. And as part of that, we're going to be doing kayak and paddle safety classes.
You know, is definitely, you've seen this happen to a lot of our natural resources over the time and over the decades. Sometimes they're subject to industrialization, to pollution, natural disasters, whatever. And but Saratoga Lake is really on the rebound and has been for some years. And a lot of that has to do with the work of the association. So look, your mission, become a member for $20. You know, you get to enjoy the lake, bring your family out there. And I was just out recently, out to Doc Brown's, and it was just so beautiful to sit on the deck and just stare at that beautiful lake, sitting, you know, what, a mile out of town here.
Yeah, the sunsets are really amazing.
Isn't it? I know, I totally agree. Well, Alan, thank you very much for coming in and doing all that good work to preserve this lake.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm delighted to do that. I hope your viewers come out and enjoy the lake.
Yeah, I'm sure that they will. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com. Good.